Hey, what's up? Today we're gonna talk about inheritance in programming. What's an inheritance? Inheritance occurs when one class gets, overrides, or uses another class's functionality or features. For example, suppose you have a class called vehicle, which has a number of parameters, number of fields, number of doors, how fast it drives, how many horsepower it has, and etc. And suppose you wanted to use it for some cars. So you can create another class called a car and inherit the previously implemented class vehicle. So in that way, you don't really have to re-implement a number of doors, number of wheels, parameters. You can just provide it to the parent class instead. And in the car class, you would implement only those parameters, only those functionalities which is unique to cars. For example, cars have colors, and you can provide such a parameter in your new class car. And what else? For example, cars. For example, you can create another class called bus, and inherit a vehicle, and you can change accordingly, like the power of horsepower, how fast it drives, and everything. So that's a basic idea of the inheritance. If you really take an example of Totoro's, inheritance would look a bit more simple. As the name says, inheritance inherits, the same way as children inherit from their parents some features. For example, the eye color, the hair grows, the body structure, or everything, many things. And this, for example, let's imagine that this Totoro is a parent of this Totoro. Then in that case, if we are this Totoro is inheriting some features from this Totoro. So which features are they? You can actually inherit all features in programming and override. For example, this Totoro is inheriting the color feature, and this their color are same, but this Totoro is inheriting the type of the material that it's made of, but it is changing it. For example, it's changing it from fur to plastic. So that's a basic idea of the inheritance. Let's try to code it and let's see it on the practice too. So let's see inheritance in practice. So here we have a class called vehicle. So what does a vehicle has? For the sake of simplicity, I've just added three parameters for the vehicle, which are number of wheels, number of doors, and horsepower. Here it's a constructor, and in the constructor we provide those parameters, the values for those parameters. And what else does it have? It has a drive function, which enables a vehicle to drive, a functionality. Just we can imagine that here can be like a long code which makes a vehicle to drive. And what does it have else? It has a show vehicle info. It just outputs to the console what kind of parameters a vehicle has. And another thing is I also created a class called car, which inherits a vehicle. How do we inherit a vehicle in C++? We do it by this, like this. So we provide a semicolon and we write public and vehicle. We actually can write public, private, and some other keywords here too, but the public one is more popular and the basic one. So let's just keep with it. And what we have for this car is RGB parameters, which represent a color for that car. And we provide RGB in the constructor. And very important moment is this. As you can see, we write here a colon, we write vehicle, and we initialize a parent class here by providing some values. Actually, for example, here we're providing like 4 for the wheels, 4 for the doors, and 300 for the horsepower. For the car, we are here assuming that wheels cannot be changed and doors cannot be changed, but we still we are able to change them by providing here number of wheels, and we can just pass it here, and that's it. But just to keep it much simpler, we will just use this structure. And so yes, we're providing RGB parameters. And what else does it have? It has a show info function which shows an information about the car and about our other parameters such as wheels. How do we show other parameters? We run the function called this show vehicle info. You can notice that this particular car class doesn't have this kind of functionality. So that's a power of inheritance. We can access to that parent function. We can access to that parent functions. So here we do access it, and yeah, it's very straightforward. And if you run it, yeah, let me just try to run it again. If you run it, we have this thing. I can. So if you run it, we're getting a wheels, 4 doors, 4 horsepower, 300, and RGB parameters. Yeah, that's a very most important point of inheritance. We do inherit, and you might even if you're very curious, you might even ask, can't we access those parameters from the car? I mean, can't we just show it here like this? Since, as I said, I said that we can access everything from the parent, but apparently we cannot, because we are seeing an error here. It says number of wheels is a private member of vehicle. That's the point. So since it's a private for that class, then we are not able to access it. So in order to access the parameters, has to be public or protected. So if we write a protected, then yeah, everything works fine. And we can even have here wheels number. So that's a very point of this tutorial, and I hope it was very useful. Into C++ and see other very interesting functionalities of C++.